What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and welcome back to another video guide. In today's video, we are going to take a look at the Lufenia Plus fight for the latest raid boss, which is going to be the Triple Gateway Lufenia. So before we do start, like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel guys, and I really do appreciate it. And without further ado, let's start this video. Okay guys, so as always, we'll start this off on how you're gonna deal with the Lufenia Orb, which appears at the start of the battle and will not disappear from there on. You get 6 Lufenia Orb counters when the player evades an attack, and you get +1 when the enemy takes damage from an ignore defense type attack. So things like Maria's LD trap, that counts as ignore defense. Shadow as well ignores the defense and can dodge as well. Then you've got Vaughn, which is kind of an odd character, but with his blind there is a chance that you can actually dodge the attack. Galuf of course can dodge as well. Oran, his counter is going to be an ignore defense type attack. Prompto can evade. Jack, Sabin, a couple more characters here and there. There's actually quite a lot of characters to choose from on this particular Lufenia Orb. Alright guys, now let's move on how this fight works. Well, there's simply just very few mechanics in this fight. So basically these small nodes, if they die before the big node does, it will trigger run emergency program. And basically the big node is going to be immune to delay and delete. And then it will follow it up with object 199 I should say, on its next turn. So basically object 199 is going to remove all its debuffs and dispel all your buffs as well. And this will be followed up by an AoE HP damage that deals 99% of your HP, leaving you with 1 HP, and it will also have a max HP down debuff. So basically what you're trying to do here is avoid this. After object 199, it will revive both small nodes again with hidden stat boosts alongside them. Now the attack node, which is the one on the right, is going to apply a lot of debuffs whenever it attacks and hits you. And the defense node, which is on the one on the left, will basically heal the entire enemy party. Now the main node is going to basically just keep using HP attacks. It will have a brave gain and HP attack type of an attack, and that's all it's pretty much going to do, unless you accidentally kill both the small nodes, and then you are pretty much screwed if you don't kill it straight away. And so we move on to how you are going to deal with this fight, which honestly speaking is do not kill the small nodes unless you are about to kill the big node, or just kill the big node first and then you can deal with the small nodes later. Now again, Setzer is still a very valuable character, again ignoring all those brave damage reduction, plus with his freeze debuff you don't have to worry about getting a lot of HP damage against you. Now the biggest thing here is obviously the Lufenia Orb. That is basically the big mechanic here. You will have to let the boss have a turn, or the other nodes have a turn as well. Basically what you're trying to achieve is to evade, and then of course if you have like a counter that can ignore defense, that adds up as well. Again, the blind mechanic is something that you can take advantage of. It's not 100%, but for the most part it can help you get there. Now speaking of characters to bring, honestly you can really bring a lot of characters in this fight. There is even a team that I will be mentioning later on that pretty much ignores the Lufenia Orb and basically go very offensive. But the biggest thing here is, if you want to do this quote-unquote properly, is to bring evasion characters, or bring characters that can ignore defense with their attacks. So I mentioned a lot of characters earlier on. Now as for call characters, you'll be surprised that there's a few characters that can actually increase your evasion, like Shadow, Edge, and Cater. If you don't really want to bring a team or a main party member with the mechanics, you can actually use these calls. However, I feel like you're probably better off having someone in your main team rather than just rely on call characters. You can use these call characters if you are planning to be very, very offensive with your team. For the most part, the boss, the big node, has 18 million HP, I believe, and you can technically take it down before you actually use up all the Lufenia orbs. Alright guys, now let's move on to party compositions. The first team that I will recommend is the one that I went with, which is Jet, Shadow, and Oron. For the cold team, I went with Lion, Gabranth, and Maria. And for the support, I went with Lon and Rain and Shiva for the summon. This is basically pretty simple. Shadow and Oron basically are there for the Lufenia orb. Jet, obviously, with his massive damage, is really great. And Lon and Rain support is basically almost cheating at this point. Now for the next team, I went with Sid, Reigns, Porum, and Gala for the main team, Sephiroth, Gabranth, and Faris for the cold team. Support is still Lon and Rain, and the summon is going to be Pandemonium. So the idea here is obviously Gala is going to be your dodge, and you can take advantage as much as you can with Sid, Reigns, obviously, and Porum can heal you through with a lot of things. Now the last team I have for you guys is the very offensive type of team that I mentioned earlier. You can actually switch things around. You can bring your own Sid Reigns here, but the idea here is to basically do as much damage as you can in 10 turns. So Cloud of Darkness, obviously you need her BT plus, and Jet with his BT plus and Setzer obviously really great, and you switch out Sid Reigns afterwards, and you do a ton of damage and kill off the big node first. And yeah, basically once the big node is dead, the fight is pretty much over. You don't really have to worry too much about this two small nodes. They don't really have a ton of HP plus. They're not really that scary, especially if the big node is gone. So overall, this is a very offensive orientated team, so you will have to be really aggressive and just pummel through that big node as quick as you can. Alright guys, so we're finally at the end of this video, and of course I'll give you guys my final thoughts regarding this fight. Overall, this fight isn't that hard. Again, if you can deal with the Lufenia orb most of the time, it's not that hard. There are some difficulties in here and there, but the idea here is to basically kill the big node as fast as you can. There is the healing with the defense node, which can be pretty annoying. I think it heals about like 5% of the boss's HP, which is a lot, I have to say. And you only have, I believe, like 60 turns to beat this. But honestly, if you can get rid of the healing node and then maybe just concentrate on the big boss, then you can basically get through this fight relatively easier. But the thing is, I do like the healing node to be there as well. The main reason for that is so that the two nodes don't die too quickly, because with all the splash damage that all the characters are getting right now, essentially those little nodes are going to die pretty quickly. So sometimes them getting some heals and you having some sort of focus single target damage actually really helps. So I guess it's really up to you how you want to approach this fight. Do you want to be hyper aggressive? Do you want to be a little bit more defensive with with Oron maybe, or even Galif and such like that? Those characters definitely can help you go through this fight relatively smoothly. I don't think this fight is like really hard. It probably, for me, I guess it's on the easier side, and maybe at best somewhere in the mediocre side of things. But again, there's not a lot of HP. That's the biggest thing with this boss fight. The actual boss doesn't have a lot. You can actually like blitz through it. It is very possible to do so. So I think that's all I really have to say regarding this fight. And yeah, so that's it for this video, guys. Please do remember to click like and subscribe if you haven't already. It does help the channel, and I really do appreciate it if you can share this video as well to other Dffoo players who are struggling to beat their first Lufenia Plus fight. And hopefully this video does help them. And check out my other videos as well if you are struggling on other Lufenia fights. Make sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter at Munchkins Gaming. Leave down in the comments below what your team was. If you think I missed something, leave it all down in the comments below. This is Munchkins logging off. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next level.